Here's a project I just finished up on a 148 extended high roof transit. This is an old FedEx van, I believe. It was brought to me with just the floor installed, and I installed a Victron electrical system with a custom enclosure. I did a full pre-wire and then also a plumbing system, freshwater tank, gray water tank, undermount. We have a hot water heater that uses the engine coolant to heat, as well as a 120 element. Now I also popped in a few windows. We have a fixed window in the slider. We have one bunk window here. There's a Maxxair Fan installed up there, and then we have 400 watts of solar on the roof. Now this client is using Far Out Ride's design, so a lot of what you see here is roughly based on Far Out Ride's builds, the location of the plumbing system, some of the components. You can see he started working on his 80/20 bed platform, which was installed when it came. So I use that as a rough guide as far as placement and sizing. The custom enclosure is something I built out of 3/4 plywood and then laminated. It has some cooling fans on the outside. We have an outlet on the back. It's powered by one 330 amp hour Victron battery. You can see it's a little bit of condensation there. It's a very hot and humid day here in Pennsylvania, with room for one more battery there. We're only using a 2000 VA Multiplus, but we have a 50 amp Orion XS DC-DC charger. We have a MPPT, Servo GX. We have our battery protect, a small DC fuse panel. Then over here we have our breakers for our 120. And this box has a lid that's going to, of course, cover all of that. It's not a full lid on the face because there's going to be some slide out trays on the floor here, and I wanted to make sure he could pop that off if the slide out tray was right next to the box. Also, he's going to have some room on top of this box to do some storage if he chooses. You can see where the bottom of the bed platform will be, so there'll be lots of room in this garage. The plumbing system is utilizing an S&B wheel well freshwater tank. On top there's an Isotherm hot water heater. I think this is the Isotherm Spa version. And yes, it's connected to the engine coolant system. And then it also has a plug here for 120 when the van is plugged into shore power. This wheel well tank is not the one that fully encloses the wheel well. That tank is right here. And so after deciding that this wasn't going to fit with the design, the client opted to do this one, which I totally agree. The wheel well tank ends right here, right where the wheel well itself ends, which allows you to build out the rest of your galley or cabinetry or bench or whatever else you want to do here. Now I had to install all of these plumbing lines knowing that there were going to be certain valves or mixers in certain locations. For instance, back here I have a T for hot and cold, knowing that there's going to be another box that I build that ends here with a shower on the back, so this can easily go and connect to our shower. I also have in this whole system drains in the hot and cold lines, so that when it comes time to winterizing, you don't have to run any winterizing RV glycol in the system. You also don't have to use an air fitting and pressurize and blow out your system, because everything is designed to be drained via gravity. So in our main lines, we have little valves that go out the bottom for our hot line. Which way does this turn? There we go. And same for the cold. We also have a drain for our tank, our main tank. We also have a drain for the hot water heater, which is actually the pressure release valve. It's this little guy right here. You can twist that, and then it drains out the vent and out and down there. All of the pump and the accumulator lines will all drain via gravity. Suppose there could be a little bit of water in this section because the pump acts as a check valve. There's our strainer. We would open that and take out any water to winterize the system there. Here's our gravity fill. There is no city water fill for this system. On the front end here, we have a T for the hot and cold that would extend into the galley and supply water for the sink. And then as per Far Out Ride's design, the shower is located right here. And this is a Tech Van shower pan, and there's an S&B water tank located directly underneath of this. And the shower supply, hot and cold, go into the wall. They go up and through here, and then they stick out into the upper cabinets. Far Out Ride offers a CAD design for an upper cabinet that sort of lifts up, and then the shower curtain extends out. There's also a mixer in there, and that's where your shower wand is located too. So once the client does his wall panels, and I believe he's using the Timber Van Transit wall panel kit, which is a great idea. He will put holes in that panel. The PEX lines will come out of the panel and then turn and go forward. That way we don't have any more water lines behind the wall. I don't like putting water lines behind the wall, and in this situation, it was going to be very minimal. And especially if this is viewable, you can always see if there's any leaks from up here running down. So yeah, that's where we're at with the plumbing. The pre-wire is set up to have a lot of, let's see, 8 ceiling lights in 2 zones. We have some exterior lights on this van. We also have a Velit gasoline heater under the seat. There's swivels on both front seats that I installed. My exterior lights are located right here. And that's so that you can reach them from outside of the van, because in many designs and many vans that I've built, I've also put my control panel sort of right here or up here, which is close to the door, and in theory you can turn your lights on and off, but you really can't reach it from the ground. And that's a good spot to reach. Also, you can reach it from your driver's seat. So if you are backing up or you need extra lights at night while you're driving, you can reach over there and click those on. Over here I have a little mock-up of the controllers that I'm using. This is our Velit heater. This is our Serbo GX touchscreen. This is the 5-inch version, and I'm using the new Victron display, which is really slick. I'm still getting used to this. There are 2 tank level sensors that we're utilizing in our freshwater tank and our gray water tank, and S&B does a really good job of providing some spin welds, and they give you a recommendation for a KUS float level sensor to install in these tanks, and I went ahead and just bought that as well. S&B tanks are really the only tanks that I use in my builds. I highly recommend them. They have all sorts of custom tanks for different applications. So yeah, I don't know if I need to restart this to get it to swipe over to the tank level display. Let's see if we can do that. Okay, so I paused, took a moment to disconnect power to my screen and then back on, and you can see we're kind of active here. You can see there's even some, animation going on, a little bit of solar pumping in. So yeah, and then I went and configured our tanks. So we have fresh water, we have gray water, 20 gallons, 35 gallons. They're both empty right now because, well, they are both empty. There's no water in the system, and we're not ready for that. So I'll probably do a little bit more configuration once it comes back to me for phase 2. But yeah, other than that, this is the build. I'll be helping this client out with his installation, making sure that everything is going where it needs to be, so that when it's in its finished stages, it will be working correctly. Let's take a look at the solar. I want to show you the DIY van custom rack that we're using. All right, so here we are on top of this Transit. Couple things to look at: the solar panel, the racking, the Maxxair Fan. On the Transits, because they're curved so much, the roof is curved so much, I always use that DIY van CNC'd adapter plate, and I'm using that one here. Now, as far as the solar goes, we have 200 watt rich solar black solar panels, and these are wired in parallel, and they're sitting on top of a DIY van racking system. Now this is something that I talked to DIY van and had them sort of custom make, which they were more than happy to do. I highly recommend if you're looking for a custom solution that uses the stock mounting holes on these transits without gluing anything to the roof or screwing anything through the roof, to chat with them. The client wanted to leave the back portion open, which we're doing here in case he wants to put an air conditioner or a roof hatch, a skylight, probably more like it, over the bed. And so the DIY van kit was cut short here. It could extend all the way back. It could extend even more forward, but we needed these 3 mounting points to hold the solar panels. Now, it looked a lot easier for me when I was talking to DIY van, thinking about, you know, just dropping these panels on, but actually I had to attach the panels to the rail and then bring everything up in one piece, which was a real bear, and then secure everything while it was on the roof using the stainless steel hardware. See, there's our scan strut entry port, which I use on every build. In the future, I probably would have installed these a little differently, using some clever fittings from possibly a residential solar panel install. You know, if you've ever seen how these are installed on a residential roof, they are sitting on top of sort of like some unistrut, and then there's a clasp in between that holds them down. I think I would have done that here with either a through bolt or, you know, a riv nut or something like that. But in any case, it turned out pretty nice. I did maximize the slotted holes on the roof rack, which I didn't like doing, but it works, and it's even, and it's perfect. You can see how much curve there is to this transit roof, and our solar panels are sitting just about a 1/4 inch above the highest point there.